And now it's Deborah Kobylt Live.
Hi, everybody, and thank you so much for joining us today on Deborah Kobylt Live. And please welcome my guests, Puran and Susanna Bair, who wrote this terrific book, Living from the Heart, a guide to heart rhythm meditation. Thank you so much for joining us, both of you, today. I appreciate it. And just before we went on, I believe that Puran asked me, why did I want to have them on my show? And I love the approach of meditation and listening to your heart, taking that moment to stop and a minute to listen, not just to the heart, but the rhythm of the heart, and incorporating that into your meditation. And I really love that idea. And this book actually was really a terrific guide to guiding me through that. And I wanted to share it with all of you as my audience. So once again, thank you for being here, the both of you. And please talk to us a little bit about living from the heart.
It's an honor to be here.
Yeah.
The heart has a message in its rhythm, and listening to it is a wonderful thing. It's a reminder of the very first message you ever heard. The first sound was the sound of your mother's heartbeat when you were in the womb. So it takes you back to this home place that's very, very familiar, really. It gives a focus, by focusing on your heart, which is internal. It gives your minds a place to land. And so we're not trying to turn off the mind. We're just trying to turn on the heart.
That's beautiful. Go ahead.
Yeah. Deborah, all meditation uses the breath. In our meditation, the way we use the breath, we make the breath long, deep, and full. And when the breath is long, deep, and full, you're actually accessing energy through the breath. And you focus on the breath. And when you make this breath long, deep, and full, I like to repeat that because that's one of the challenges in the beginning. So when the breath has this kind of qualities, the heart starts moving forward and you start hearing the heartbeat. And that's like such a special moment when this breath and heartbeat meet, because those two cycles, breathing and the rhythm of the heart, happens all the time. And we made a meditation out of it, that you actually, when you meditate and you want to have a clear mind, the way we make our mind clear is by focusing the mind. The mind is actually put to work. Is my breath full, slow, and beat? Where is my heartbeat? Do you know what I mean? And by trying to put this together, your mind is completely occupied and you have no problems getting your mind still because it's working for you in the meditation.
I have a question. What if you're meditating and you're breathing and all of a sudden your heart is really pumping fast? And I know the goal is to really try and slow it down. How do you do that? How do you connect with the heart and bring it down to a pace that's relaxed? How do you do that?
Well, there's a biological mechanism, actually two different mechanisms in the body that connect the breath to the heartbeat. So when you breathe slowly and deeply, the heart automatically slows down. It has to do that. So that's the first thing, is that we can't control the heart directly, but we can control it indirectly through the way we breathe. And of course, that kind of rapid pace in the heart is a message in itself. It says, oh, there's something here to think about. There's some emotion, perhaps a trauma, something to remember and look at, and rather than avoid, because we don't get anywhere by avoiding these things. We have to feel it to heal it.
Right. Do you want to do a little example with me on breathing in and holding and breathing out? Shall we do that?
Yes. Why don't you do it?
Go ahead.
Well, like in every meditation, you take a posture that you're comfortable in. Some people lay down, some people sit down. We like to sit actually on a chair that helps you to sit really upright, have the feet on the ground. We think our practice, when you really do it the way it's supposed to do, it grounds you. It makes you be in your body and puts you down here on earth rather than floating away. So, and then we look for an upright spine, because when you have an upright spine, the nervous system is being engaged. We're sort of massaging the nervous system with our breath. That happens automatically with it. So the heart is engaged, the breath is engaged, the nervous system, and your shoulders are open, and then you take an intention. What do I want to do with this intention? Intentions can be very simple. They can be like, I want to meditate for 5 minutes, and I'm going to do my timer, and I'm going to sit there for 5 minutes no matter what. Can be an intention. Or it could be, I want to be really calm and still, and I want to be inspired. You know, that could be an intention. So whatever your intention is, and then if you're so inclined, you can look around in your room, and with all the beautiful things you have, and whatever is in your room, you feel that your room is supporting you, that you are held by the space that you are in. And then would come this point where you actually close your eyes. And that might be for some of us challenging, so you can even keep your eyes open and just look at one point. But meditation is the way inward, is the way into the inner life. And so we like to close our eyes and become aware that we are breathing, that there's always an inhalation and an exhalation. And our everyday breath is not deep, it's actually very shallow. And you don't judge that, but you become aware of it. And then because you focus on your breath, it will be very easy for you to make your breath deep. And the way we make our breath deep by using our abdominal muscles, the muscles below our belly button. Those muscles we can contract. You can try it out right now. You exhale and squeeze those muscles to the very, very tip of the end, and you feel you pulling them towards your spine. And when you inhale, you open those muscles, make them really big like a balloon, and engage your rib cage. Make a really, really full breath that you have the feeling you're inflating your whole physical body. So this is when you have this deep, full breath going, you move the diaphragm muscle up and down through this squeezing and expanding, and your breath becomes very slow, full, and deep. So and that's when you start looking for the heartbeat. When your breath is full, slow, and deep, maybe your heartbeat shows itself. And maybe not, because you haven't been paying attention to your heart in a long, long time. So then you can look for your pulse, because that's always there. And you can wrap around your wrist, and there is your heartbeat, your pulse, which is the echo of the heartbeat. And then you can go for how many heartbeats do I inhale, and for how many pulses or heartbeats do I exhale. And that count is probably not the same in the beginning. So those are the very beginnings of heart rhythm meditation, to align breath and heart. And it creates inside of you like that you're really in touch with the rhythms of your life, of your physical life in the here and now. And then you just look for, what am I feeling when I have done this breath? You can keep your eyes closed and just experience, what was this experience like? And there can be a lot of difference for everybody who tries to do that practice. But that's like a few minutes of a practice. So thank you for letting me do that, Deborah.
That's beautiful. And when you said a few minutes of that practice, that literally is just a few minutes to practice that? I was actually going to ask that during your guidance. And I started to do that, and I realized, oh, I didn't let her finish. I jumped in. We have to allow ourselves a moment to pause and really let it in. And that's very important for everybody to understand that, you know, and give it a moment. and you'll start to really feel that. And that's what happened to me. I had to give it that moment, and I did start to feel it. And I'm glad you said we can also try to listen for our pulse on our wrist.
You can do it
Yeah.
on your neck as well, wherever you feel your pulse.
Yeah.
Some people feel the pulse in their eyes, but it's what we look for is to be really connected with your physical body. Deborah, before we are alive in this physical body, we don't have a body, and when we die, we don't have a physical body. We really try to emphasize is to be in the here and now. And when you go very deep in heart rhythm meditation, you feel the all and everywhere as well. You get in touch with cosmic consciousness, but that takes some time.
Yeah, but I was going to ask, is when you first start, that exercise is about a 5-minute exercise, 10, or you just go for as long as you feel like you need to go?
You need a few minutes, and we've done some research on this. We had a peer-reviewed research at Penn State, and it found that people who meditated for more than 10 minutes had a persistent increase in vagal tone. Vagal tone is, the big gold standard for stress resilience, the ability to handle stress. And so vagal tone is increased greatly by this practice, but it takes a few minutes. And if you could do it for 20 minutes, then that's really our recommendation, about 20 minutes. But that may not be possible at the beginning. One has to learn to be still. And that takes some doing sometimes. Some people can do it right away, but some people just need to practice being still.
Talk to us about the benefits of meditation. And I imagine we should meditate at least once a day. Is that what you recommend?
Yes, or many times, many short times. Susanna likes to start people off with 3-minute meditations.
10 times a day.
10 times a day.
Wow.
But it is better, I think, to have an accumulation of time so that the inner experience builds.
See, Deborah, it takes time to develop a meditative bone. If you were born in Taiwan, in China, in Vietnam, and Thailand, and whatever, you know how to sit. We teach in those countries too. We were 5 times in Taiwan. Those people, they sit. You don't need to, they sit for an hour, no problem. They don't move. You're like, how do you do that, right? But internally, they're not connected with their heart. Internally, they are gone. That's a big, big difference in meditation. You see, we ask people to sit and be in the here and now. So the only thing that can hold you is this heartbeat. That you look, what does my heartbeat do? Because when you sit with the heart actually starts speaking to you. It gives you information about your past and about your future and what goes on now. Your anxieties, your depressions, all the experiences you ever had in your life, they are on the table. So this is why we need a strong, slow, deep, full breath to deal with and be able to deal with the transformation that is possible for us.
Of course, those pains and traumas, they're there all the time anyway. So being aware of them actually makes them weaker. You can, you're the master when you're aware. And when you're not aware, then they run you. So it's much better to be focused on, well, what is it that really pains my heart? And the heart will tell you, of course.
See, heart rhythm meditation holds a power. When you take certain kinds of other meditations, Eastern meditations, and that's not a judgment, that's just what you hear. When you hear to a lot of Eastern people speak, especially the women, they speak like with fine voices, and they're so kind and so nice and so disconnected from themselves. That's not what Western people look for. A woman like you looks for power, looks for influence, looks to make a difference. And there the voice is different. You are embodied. And one needs to deal with one's emotions, because when the emotions are not dealt with, certain kind of resentments and different kinds of experiences, grief or whatever one went through is in ourselves. And in this kind of meditations, they come up, and through the breath, through the energy, we learn how to deal with it. And that's an incredible advantage to know not to be afraid of emotions. Because when I sit down for my evening meditation, I go actually through my whole day, and it runs through me, and it connects with different parts of my life and my past or my future, and the heart knows how to digest emotion.
How
It
is
knows,
this,
yeah.
please, how is this beneficial to people who are struggling with, let's say, high blood pressure?
Yeah.
They're feeling a lot of stress from family and work.
Yeah.
How can this benefit the physical?
Well, as you breathe slowly like this, and also as you focus on your heart, magical things start to happen. First of all, your circulation system in the body changes, and the heart's getting more circulation than it did before, just because of the attention. Wherever you put attention in your body, you bring circulation there. So when your attention is on the heart, then the heart feels that. It actually beats more strongly, which is very good. And it starts to create this field of energy. Every time your heart beats electrically, it creates a magnetic field as well. And the magnetic field goes beyond the body. It actually fills the room. So now you have a different sense of yourself. Yourself is not limited to your skin. Yourself is the full extent of your energy field. And that's where your influence is, you see.
She wants to know about blood pressure and those kind of things.
So it reduces your blood pressure. Biologically, it has to do that. It can drop your blood pressure 20, 30 points.
In a month. I have had a client, she said, I need to have this blood pressure down in a month. I said, okay, this practice every day. And it's really just slow, deep, full breath. And I practice with her because that sounds very easy, Deborah, but it is not that easy.
No.
That's why we have an app. That's why we have free classes every day with a teacher that you can just join in. It is at a particular time, because there when you sit with a teacher or when you listen to the app, you have a guided meditation and you can listen to it and you follow the slow pace of the voice of the teacher. And so you learn to internalize that. So blood pressure is not a big topic. What is it called? When people lose the rhythm of the heart, the AFib, that's a harder thing to already do because people are so stressed out that their heart goes off rhythm. And we say stress is, everybody has stress, and we are not afraid of stress. This is something the heart actually works very, very well with. But people don't pay attention to their heart, and then they get AFib. It helps to avoid AFib if you do this kind of meditation. When you have AFib, you need to know the breath very well. Breath controls the heart. And so when you don't know the breath to control AFib is hard, so people go for ablations. Or people get stents. Somebody told me recently, it's no big deal to get a stent. You get a stent, the next day you're at home. And I'm like, God, why do you want to put yourself through this? All these problems, because these are when the arteries get clogged. This has to do with agglutination. The red blood cells in the body, when they have too much stress, they clump up. When you do heart rhythm meditation, we did a big test with a doctor at the East Coast. He had this incredible huge microphone, and you could see the red blood cells. Microscope. And microscope. And it was a microscope. And we could see the red blood cells, and we meditated for 10 minutes, but we know how to meditate. We had those red blood cells all floating nice, and they could do their work. Red blood cells do some incredible work in our system and get our whole immune system straight and energy freed up. Yeah. So just to learn, just to learn to breathe slow, full, and deep has a strong effect on the heart and on the circulation system. And with heart attack, that is actually what I have to say out loud is an emotional problem. That is why I spoke first of emotion. People don't know how hard the heart suffers from emotions that are stuffed up and not dealt with. We know this because we have some athletes in our school, athletes that really work out and do incredible running and spinning and weightlifting and all, and they get heart attacks. Quadruple bypass. And it's what it is they haven't dealt with their emotions. That's why they come to us when they have then the problem. The
Talk to me a
emotions.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
No, go
Talk
ahead.
to me a little bit about your school, your app, your teachings, and just very briefly, because we only have a few more minutes, if you can. Talk to me about that and how people can find you. And I had one other question to be answered before that. But briefly, if you don't mind, like how can I know that you also talk about earth, wind, fire, air, and the entire connection with that and our breathing. If you could just touch upon that, and then how people can get in touch with you.
Yeah, well, our school is we have a long lineage that we're working from, so we didn't make this stuff up.
No.
And that lineage goes back through the Western mystics. So it's not a Buddhist method. It's actually it was practiced by the early Christians. It's not a Christian method either. It's a mystical method, which means it's basic to human life. But it's an old tradition. It's an old method, and so we represent this lineage, and a school means that we not only teach it as a technique, but we practice it and keep people, help people apply it to their lives. So people stay with us for decades sometimes, and that allows them to really build the practice into their life and see the effect on their work and on their relationships and on their health. So we have classes. We have classes that are available. Many of them are free. We have long classes. Sometimes we have a 2-year program we just finished. We do that again in January. So there are different lengths of programs, what else do I want to say? It's an active process. Some meditations are very passive. You're just simply watching and observing. We're not observing. We're engaging. We want to be actively focused. So it builds concentration. It's very good for your career because concentration is a problem everywhere. And this is a practice that builds concentration by concentrating on something very dear to you, your own heart, in your body. So it's internal rather than something outside yourself, and it can hold your attention. So you won't space out and you won't get tired and go to sleep in the meditation because you'll be doing something that's really valuable for your attention.
And we have an app on the iPhone, and it has a camera in there, and you can make it right work. You can have heart rate variability on there, and you can count your heartbeat and.
Your heart rate
and the app is called Breath and Heart.
Breath and Heart. It's free. Heart rate variability is a key biometric measurement that's good. Basically, it indicates the health of your whole cardiac system. And what it means is that the heart rate is supposed to have a wiggle in it. It doesn't come on time. It wiggles in its timing. Yeah. And that wiggle is supposed to be there because it indicates a message of its own. And you want more of that, basically. You want a higher heart rate variability. Mm-hmm. And this leads to something called vagal tone, which is, this gold standard of stress resilience. So our method has a very, very strong effect on vagal tone because it increases heart rate variability. And we want people to measure this HRV, so our app does that for free. I think it's the only app available for free that measures HRV, and it does that by using the camera on the computer. Here it's giving a tone for every heartbeat. So if you're having trouble finding your heartbeat, you can use the app. It'll tell you when your heart's beating by giving this tone. And then what we want people to do is to breathe in for 8 heartbeats and breathe out for 8 heartbeats.
You can put that down because it's a little loud on the podcast, I think. So I appreciate you putting that up there. It gives people a real idea of what that will be like. And as I said, it really goes in conjunction with the elements in the world, which is earth, fire, air, and water. And our audience can learn more about that also in your book, and I'm sure also on your website and also on your app. So I really appreciate the two of you joining us. You put me in quite a relaxed state through our conversation. You really did, especially in the beginning when we were doing this practice. I thought, oh my gosh, I feel like I could fall asleep. And I personally did connect with my heartbeat at that moment. So
Wonderful.
I thank you for doing that. I really paid attention. My feet were on the ground, and
Very good.
I'm very excited to be practicing this on my own. And I'm grateful that you came to join us today, both of you. So please
you.
look for the book, Living from the Heart, their app, and anything else, to learn more about how you can incorporate this practice of meditation from the heart into your lives. So I thank you very much for joining us. And you can find my conversation with Puran and Susanna Bair on YouTube, on Facebook, on any audio platform, whether it's the iHeartRadio app, Spotify, or anywhere else that you get your podcasts. Just put in our show, Deborah Kobylt Live, and this will pop up immediately. So I'm quite grateful that you joined us. Everybody, please take a moment today and practice some meditation. Practice this heart-centered meditation. It, like I said, put me in quite a state of relaxation. I feel terrific. So thank you for joining us, and we'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.
We feel honored by being with you, Debbie.
Honored to have you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.